Hi guys! All right, we are going to do section 15.1 today, which is right triangle problems. And this should all be review for you, which is fabulous. Yay! Okay, so right triangle. The right triangle, that means that we've got one of our angles is 90 degrees. Yeah, so we'll say it's that one. And if you remember SOHCAHTOA, easy way to remember what sine, cosine, and tangent are in relationship to angle theta. So if I call this angle theta, then the side opposite would be this side. The side adjacent is this one. And the hypotenuse side is always the long one, right? So SOHCAHTOA, what does it stand for? SO stands for sine of theta is equal to the opposite side over the hypotenuse side. And CA stood for cosine of theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent, or TOA, is tangent of theta is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent side. All right, easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Today's an easy lesson, so. All right, so let's do an example. Let's find the other side and angle measures for the right triangle ABC, where the right angle is C, and angle B is 22 degrees, and side C is 33. So I'm going to draw the right triangle. They tell me that the right angle is C, so I'll label this C, and then I'll just label this one A and this one B. Oh, that brings up a good point. Hey, capital A, capital B, capital C, they're going to use the capital letters to represent the angles, and lowercase letters to represent the sides. You probably already knew that, but just in case, better that I say it. All right, so we've got angle A, angle B, angle C, and then the sides opposite. This would be side A, this one would be side B, and this one would be side C. And so what they gave me was that B is 22 degrees, so I'll fill that in. And they gave me that side C is 33. They also gave me that the right angle is angle C, so that gave me that angle C is 90 degrees. So that means that we can right away find the measure of angle A, which is one of the things we have to find. And that is, you find it by doing 180 minus 90, and minus B was 22 degrees. So you end up with angle A is 68 degrees. Okay, I guess we should, well, they gave us that angle C is the right angle, so the measure of angle C is, it's an equal sign, 90 degrees. All right, and then we need to find side A and side B. So you are going to use SOHCAHTOA. You are going to use that, use the angle they gave you, use angle B. So for angle B, side B is the opposite side. Side A is the adjacent side to angle B, and side C is the hypotenuse. Side C is the hypotenuse, no matter which angle we're looking at, but anyway. All right, so for angle B, let's find, we can find side A first, yeah? And so side A would be adjacent, and I have adjacent and hypotenuse, so that would be cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of angle B, 22 degrees, is equal to side A over 33. And then you multiply 33 on both sides so that you've got A would be equal to 33 times the cosine of 22 degrees. And you are going to put that in your calculator. Make sure your calculator is in degree mode. We're going to round to 2 decimal places. When you put in 33 times the cosine of 22 degrees, and that will give you that A is approximately 30.597, and so I'm going to go to 30, told me 2 decimal places, so 30.60. All right, so that's side A. To find side B, B is opposite angle B, and so we need to use sine. Sine of 22 degrees is equal to side B over 33. And so multiplying both sides by 33 would give you that B is 33 times the sine of 22 degrees. And you put that in your calculator. And 33 times sine of 22, and you should get 12.362. And so 12.362 would round to just 12.36. And we are done with that one. If you have questions, right now is the time to raise your hand so that the sub can pause the video. And if you have any questions, ask a friendly friend near you, maybe someone around you knows what answered your question. If not, maybe we have the sub rewind the video a little bit and you rewatch this example. But right now is the time to let the sub know if you have any questions. But if not, then we're going to move on to example 2. All right, so example 2 says to find the other side and angle measures for the right triangle UVW, where the right angle is angle W, side U, and they give you side U and they give you side B. All right, so I'm going to draw the triangle. It's a right triangle. They tell us that the right angle is W. And so I'll label this one angle U and this one angle V. And that means this is side U, which is 439.8. And this is side V, which is 641.2. And this would be side W. All right, so this time they only give us one angle and 2 sides. So you want to just choose one of the angles. You could find U or you could find V. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to choose to find angle U first, and then I'll find angle V. And what I know is for angle U, this is side U is the opposite side, and side V is the adjacent side to angle U. And so I am going to use, that's opposite and adjacent, so that's TOA, so tangent of angle U is going to equal opposite 439.8 over adjacent, which is 641.2. All right, so now to find angle U, you're going to take the inverse tangent. So the measure of angle U will equal the inverse tangent of that fraction. So 439.8 over 641.2. And you're going to put that in your calculator. We're going to round to 2 decimal places. And that is going to give me that angle U is about 34.45 degrees. Now angle V is going to be much easier to find. We don't have to do any of that kind of trig. All we have to know is that the measure of angle V, the 3 angles in a triangle, add up to 180 degrees. And so we'll just go 180 minus 90 minus the 34.45. And that is going to give you that the measure of angle V is 55.55 degrees. All right, so we found angle U, we found angle V, we just need to find side W. And so here's the deal. You could use SOHCAHTOA to find W, but the problem with that is that you're not going to be as accurate because we rounded, right? We used our calculators to find angle U and angle V. And so it's not going to be as accurate as if we use the given information. The information they gave us was side U and side V. And this is a right triangle. So W is your hypotenuse. So you're going to use Pythagorean theorem, which says that W squared, that's the hypotenuse, W squared is going to equal the 439.8 squared plus the 641.2 squared. And so you take the square root of that, and so W will end up being 777 point, I got 535, so I rounded to 54. All right. Right now is the time to raise your hand if you have any questions so that the sub can pause the video and you can get your questions answered. I'm sure someone in the classroom will know the answer to your question, and if not, we can rewind the video and maybe replay this. So if not, we're going to move on to some word problems. Oh yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. The other side of your notes start with angle of elevation is the same as what? So I'm going to draw a little picture. This is, I don't know where you're going to put this in your notes, but it's just an explanation of what happens. So let's say I'm standing on the ground and I'm looking at, I don't know, some big, beautiful, puffy clouds, right? So if I'm standing at ground level and looking up, this is what we call the angle of elevation. Elevation, an elevator is going to take you up, right? So when you're looking up, it's the angle of elevation. On the flip side, if I'm on top of, I don't know, I'm up on a balcony somewhere, looking over a gorgeous view of, I don't know, what's down below. A beautiful flower, I don't know. Not very creative. But here, when you're up top and your line of sight is like horizontal like this, then you're looking down. We call this the angle of depression. And so why does that matter? Well, when you've got two horizontal lines cut by a transversal, then that means that alternate interior angles are congruent. Do you remember that? Alternate interior angles are congruent. And that's what we're going to use. Because there will be some problems where they will give you the angle of depression, and you are going to have to know that it's equal to the angle of elevation, which will end up giving you like the inside of the triangle, right? So the problem will give you an angle of depression, which will be outside of the triangle that you need it to be, and then you're going to use alternate interior angles are congruent to do that. All right, so what does that mean for us in our notes? Your notes say angle of elevation is the same as the angle of depression, and it's because of alternate interior angles being congruent. Okay, now let's put alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay, So again, we're going to round all of our answers to 2 decimal places. Let's look at example 3. It says when the sun's angle of elevation is 38 degrees, a building casts a shadow of 45 meters. How tall is the building? So let's say here's our building and here's the sun, right? And so it's casting some shadow over here. So here's our little right triangle. Yay. Angle of elevation is you being down on the ground, looking up towards the sun. Don't ever look at the sun directly, right? But that's your angle of elevation. It's going to be this angle here. And it's casting a shadow of 45. The 45 is the horizontal here. And they're asking how tall the building is. So we want this side here. So Katoa, what do I know? X is the opposite side and 45 is the adjacent side. So opposite, adjacent, you're going to use tangent. Tangent of 38 degrees is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent side. And you multiply both sides by 45 to solve for X. And 45 times the tangent of 38 degrees, we're going to round to 2 decimal places, and so I got that X was approximately equal to 35.16. And my units are meters. If you have any questions, right now is the time to raise your hand so that the sub can pause the video, either rewinding it or to just pause it to have a friendly friend around you explain something if something didn't make sense. I probably should have drawn windows into the building, huh? Here, I'll draw a door. There. Now it looks like a building. Something like that. Whatever. Okay. If there's no questions, let's move on to the next example, which is example 4. It says, from the top of a lighthouse, 20 meters tall, a sailboat is sighted having an angle of depression of 4 degrees. How far from the lighthouse is the boat? So I'll do my best to draw a lighthouse, and I'm sure it won't be very good. All right, it's not horrible. Awesome. Whatever. There's my lighthouse. And if we're standing at the top of the lighthouse, there's usually like some kind of balcony railing around there. And it says the angle of depression down to the sailboat. Okay, so the sailboat's over here. And so the angle of depression is down to there is 4 degrees. That's that guy. There's your angle of depression. And they also give us that the height of the lighthouse is 20. So we got that. How far from the lighthouse is the boat? We got a right triangle. X is what we want to find. All right, so this is the one where you're going to use that. They gave you the angle of depression. Notice that it is outside of my right triangle, so that's not helping me. What I need is the angle inside, and I'm going to use alternate interior angles are congruent, so that tells me that this angle inside here is 4 degrees. 20 is the opposite side, X is the adjacent side, so I'm again using tangent. So tangent of 4 degrees is equal to opposite over adjacent. You want to solve for X, multiplying both sides by X and dividing both sides by tangent of 4 degrees will give you that I get X is approximately equal to 286 point, I got 013, so 01, and then the height of the lighthouse is in meters, and so is the distance from the lighthouse to the sailboat. 286.01. All right, raise your hand right now if you have any questions so the sub can pause the video. And if there are no questions, then we'll move on to the next one. It says a meteorologist measures the angle of elevation of a weather balloon as 31 degrees. A radio signal from the balloon indicates that it is 100 meters from his location. How high above the ground is the balloon? So angle, so if, let's say here's the weather balloon, whatever, and we've got an angle of elevation of 31 degrees. Now this one's a little bit tricky. You're not going to like this, but this is how it goes. So it tells us that the radio signal from the balloon indicates that it is 100 meters from his location. How high above the ground is the balloon? All right, well that means how high above the ground is the balloon means that that is the height of the balloon is there. And then the radio signal indicates that it's 100 meters from his location, which means that it's the hypotenuse that's 100, because that's going to be the distance to the balloon. I know you're going to argue with me, but it's the way it is. All right, so what do we got? We have that opposite and hypotenuse. So that's sine. Sine of 31 degrees is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So multiplying both sides by 100 would give you that x is approximately 51 point, I got 503, so 50, and this is meters. I know the wording is a little bit weird on that one, but the fact, like how high off the ground is definitely the perpendicular distance. And so, and this is where the meteorologist is standing, right? And so the distance to the balloon would be that guy there. So I know it's weird, but it is what it is. All right, raise your hand if you have questions so the sub can pause it. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the last example, which is you are on your own. Yo-yo. All right, so if the sub could please pause the video at this point, and then when it looks like most students have finished the problem, then you can unpause it and I will show the solution to it. So please pause the video now. Alrighty then. What does it say? A library needs to build an access ramp for wheelchairs. The main entrance to the library is 8 feet above sidewalk level. If the architect designs the slope of the ramp in such a way that the angle of elevation is 5 degrees, how long must the ramp be? So we definitely have a right triangle. The entrance to the library is 8 feet above sidewalk level. That's the height. Angle of elevation is 5 degrees. They want to know how long the ramp is. And so that's opposite and hypotenuse. So that is sine of 5 degrees will equal opposite side over hypotenuse side. So solving for x will give you x is equal to 8 over sine of 5 degrees. And so you should have gotten rounded to 2 decimal places, 91 point, I got 7.789, so 0.79, and this time it was in feet. I got that. Hopefully you guys all got that one right. Whoop whoop, and we are done. All right, so your homework is page 868, 1 through 3 all, 5 through 7 all, 11, 14, and 15. All right, guys, you guys have a fabulous day, and I will see you soon.